Mercedes F1 shocked over new FIA rule change and FIA Responds. So we're going to be going through that in today's video. Make sure you like this video and don't forget, if you want more Mercedes F1 content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hitting that red button down below. Guys, 98% of you are still not subscribed, so it'd mean the world if you could subscribe to the channel. But let's get into today's story. So the FIA rulebook is dark and full of terrors, and it can change quickly and against the wishes of many teams. This is the case with the recent rule revamp that happened ahead of the 2023 season. It has upset top teams like Red Bull and Ferrari due to it happening so late in the season, but the new F1 rule change might backfire on Mercedes and ruin Hamilton's chances at his 8th WDC. On the other hand, Mercedes seems giddy about having their request finally acknowledged. However, they might have pulled a Ferrari-level self-sabotage move. The FIA has approved changes to the underfloor configuration in order to reduce reliance on low ride height to improve performance. In addition to raising the floor by 15mm, more stringent rigidity tests for the floor are being implemented. The diffuser hasn't gone away scot-free either, and it has also been raised. The changes has been on the horizon for a while now, but a lot of teams are upset about them being introduced so late. The FIA has tried to brute force changes before by fitting additional elements to the edges of the floor to decrease flexing. Unsurprisingly, Mercedes was the only team on board with that change. The aforementioned flexing is among the key reasons for the bouncing that the teams have been stuck with for the 2022 season. Now, the FIA will monitor how much the cars are bouncing and if the teams are endangering the driver's health with their setups. That change will come with the Belgian Grand Prix, and fancier sensors will be fitted to the cars, allowing more accurate measurements of the oscillators. Obviously, Red Bull team principal Christian Horner had something to say about this new development. He cautioned against the FIA intervening too much into how the teams set up their cars, as it could get dangerous precedent. Now let's go to how Mercedes might have shot themselves in the metaphorical foot. They have been one of the teams to suffer most severely from the bouncing, and herein lies the issue. The new F1 cars rely on ground effects to generate downforce, meaning they must close to the ground. However, Mercedes cars are very sensitive to changes in ride height. It has been apparent that once they got the ride height to the right point, they have unlocked serious pace through massive increased downforce. But these are two main reasons causing the bouncing. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff has actually spoken about a medical report he has shown in a meeting at the Hungarian Grand Prix, highlighting how severe the bouncing was in their cars. If the FIA started monitoring the oscillations and forcing teams to raise their ride height in Belgium, this might have been really bad news for the Silver Arrows. Another spanner in the works for Mercedes might be the raising floor edges. In the advanced aerodynamics world of Formula 1, the 15mm difference might mean major changes. The downforce generating low pressure air under the car increases proportionally to how well the floor edges are sealed. The better the seals, the more the air is prevented from going where the engineers don't want it. This is what means when the teams might have to shift their focus more onto vortex generation to achieve the desired results, with Red Bull being one of those teams already taking advantage of this. While Mercedes engineers could use the changes as a fresh start and an opportunity to develop, it could backfire just as well. If the Silver Arrows will fail to innovate and start the season playing catch up the same way they did in 2022, they might have to sacrifice the first half of 2023 as well. So I think this is very important to really understand that sometimes when it comes to these rule changes, even though Mercedes want it, when it actually comes down to it, it actually, like they said, metaphorically shoots themselves in the foot. And I think honestly, with all of this going on, Mercedes do just have to adapt and go with what is given. And I think that's what really makes Mercedes such a great team. Their adaptability is very, very well, and that's why they have won so many drivers' championships before. Now, why Toto Wolff has not needed to speak to potential Lewis Hamilton replacements is because of this. So Toto Wolff has never made any contact with any other driver about replacing Lewis Hamilton, despite Mercedes' struggles this season. Next month marks the 10th anniversary of Hamilton's decision to move from McLaren to the lesser fancied Mercedes team. Since then, he's become the most successful driver in history and has helped add 8 consecutive constructor titles to Mercedes' trophy cabinet. But there was one increasing talk that Hamilton's time with the team may soon be over. His current contract runs until the end of 2023, but with the Mercedes struggling earlier this season, there was speculation that the 7-time world champion may even walk away. That worry did not cross team principal Principal Wolff's mind because he confirmed that he had been in touch with another driver to sound them out about possibly replacing the team's biggest star. "I've not been in touch with any driver," he said. "Lewis and I, even if the season would have gone wrong, we would have at least under the principle of hope stayed together next year. And for a couple of months, we're talking this going to 5 or even 10 years, so none of that is true. I haven't been in touch actively or reactively about a drive with us going forward." A new challenge presented to both Hamilton and Wolff was dealing with mediocrity after such a dominant run in the sport, but Wolff said that the Brit eventually accepted his new reality. "That's certainly not a joyful experience, but after the first few races, he was very special," Wolff said. "He got settled in a situation that was all about how we can move this car back to the front. And even when I was not at my best, he was the most positive person in the room, building everyone up even if the driving is still a handful." Lewis Hamilton remains committed, but Mercedes might start laying the groundwork for his succession plan. It is a scenario that has often played out in sport. An athlete becomes so synonymous with the team and so successful that their inevitable departure does occur. It feels like a piece of the team went missing, and I completely understand where they are coming from with this aspect. So no driver on the current grid has been at their team as long as Hamilton. He's currently competing in his 10th season with the team, and his impact both on and off the track can be overstated. So despite Wolff's confidence that Hamilton will remain until at least the end of the next season, in order to avoid a dip in form akin to Manchester United in recent years, Mercedes must plan for what comes next. The hardest question facing Wolff is who do they get in? George Russell is rightly seen as a successor to Hamilton, but that still leaves a seat free and not an abundance option. While Mercedes would not doubt like to lure Max Verstappen away from Red Bull, the Dutchman signaled his commitment with a new contract that runs until 2028. Lando Norris is another name that has been mooted for a spot at Mercedes, but he's too tied down having signed with McLaren until 2025. Perhaps a more realistic suggestion is a certain Pierre Gasly. The current AlphaTauri man is another driver whose contract is set at the end of the conclusion of the 2023 season, and both he and Red Bull have been dropping hints that his long-lasting relationship with the team could be coming to an end. There would be a lot of advantages to the move for both parties. For Mercedes, they would be getting a race winner with plenty of not only experience in F1, but also experience at a top team, even if it did not end well, and would be relatively cheap in comparison to wages demanded by Hamilton. Another bonus is that Gasly may be more open to a short-term contract, giving Mercedes time to find a suitable heir to Hamilton's legacy. For Gasly, it gives him that chance to race in a top team once more and to prove that the driver who has unceremoniously dumped out of Red Bull is not the driver we see today. It would also put him in a presumably race-winning car during the peak years of his career, perform well in the 2 or 3 years that Mercedes offer, and it would be a lot of doors open for him. So like I said, guys, this is just all rumors. Like I said, I'm not saying any of this is true, but I thought I'd just bring all the information to you and let you guys decide on what you think about it all. So I think that's very important to look at and what to talk about when it comes to all of this. Now, when it comes to this, Formula One world champion Nigel Mansell is impressed by George Russell after his first half of the season with Mercedes. The Brit managed to get some better performances than Lewis Hamilton at the beginning of the season, but according to Mansell, the 7-time world champion has not yet fully pressed the accelerator. After the controversial 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where Lewis Hamilton lost the world title on the very last lap, the Brit was extra motivated to secure his 8th world title in the new season. However, it looks as though Hamilton will not get a chance as Mercedes started the new season trailing behind. Hamilton also had to take into account his new teammate George Russell. The young driver is currently 4th in the Drivers' Championship, while Hamilton is at P5 with 146 points. The 7-time world champion form has improved over the last few races with 5 consecutive podiums. Mansell does not think Hamilton has given everything this season so far. "I like both George Russell and Lando Norris," the Formula F1 driver said. "I think the opportunity that George has cast on the fact that Lewis hasn't decided to dust off his right foot yet. I think he's taking it easy," he added, laughing. Nevertheless, Mansell praises Russell's performance in the first half of the season. He is also impressed with Norris. Russell, is doing a great job, and I think Lando, when the car is performing, has put some great results. And it definitely does show. I think what these racers have been doing are honestly fantastic, and it only does get better from here. So Mercedes back to make it a three-way battle with Red Bull and Ferrari. So while Mercedes have been able to unmatch the pace of Red Bull and Ferrari during the first half of the 2022 season, former F1 driver Nico Hülkenberg is expecting the picture to change as the season progresses. So I completely agree with him, because as you all know, I do think Mercedes is catching up to Ferrari, and they're slowly getting better while Ferrari is slowly having a lot of reliability issues. So Hülkenberg actually said, "I'm sure that the field will be even closer for the rest of the season. Mercedes is working hard and successfully to reduce the lead of Ferrari and Red Bull." Hülkenberg said, "At Silverstone, the team was close to its first victory, and in France, Mercedes scored its first double podium this year. In the second half of the season, we can expect some exciting three-way battles between those top teams, as well as changes to the action at the front of the pack. Hülkenberg is expecting more titles further back of the field. McLaren and Alpine are behind them on a very similar level, fighting for fourth place in the Constructors' Championship. The other teams, including AMF1, will also bring updates over the rest of the year that promise exciting battles for the remaining points." Following the introduction of the new technical regulations into the sport in 2022, Hülkenberg believes that there has been a positive effect on the car's ability to battle. "The racing and the battles on the track have become much more gripping than in previous season. While there is less toe effect with these new cars, following the driver in front is much easier and makes it great for racing." Now, on top of all this, the recent five-way battle in Austria between Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes drivers, or the sensational final laps for the podium at Silverstone, give an idea of what is now possible in the track between these brilliant teams. Now, as you all know, F1 has been gaining a lot of popularity as of recent because of the Netflix special, Drive to Survive, and I think the way they are actually, fixing these cars or editing these cars in order to have more action-packed races really does show, and it really does make the sport that much more exciting, not only to us as F1 fans, but to the broader market as well. So it will be very interesting to see. Guys, let me know down in the comments what you think. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you soon. Peace.